Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to the Pain Clinic for April 18th. Yes, it's Wrestlemania weekend. Yay! Welcome to the show. It's there's a lot of things going on, but man, we're going to talk about Mania. There's a lot of cool things that have happened in the world of pro wrestling this past week, and I want to thank you guys for all tuning into the Pain Clinic. Man, we couldn't do it without you. But let me give you a little hint of what Let me go through my intros first, and then we will get to what we're talking about. It's April 18th. Holidays today. It's Husband Appreciation Day. So if you're a husband, you should be appreciated. That means leave me alone while I'm watching my 8 hours of WrestleMania day one, and then tomorrow, day two. It's International Jugglers Day, and kudos to you if you can juggle. Newspaper Columnist Day, Pet Owners Independence Day, Record Store Day. Of course, it's Record Store Day. A lot of people are getting involved in that today. Record Store Day is always a cool day. I wish I'm not there now, but maybe it can be later. And it's World Circus Day. Birthdays today, I can just find one for April 18th, 2026. That would be Steve Lombardi. He's turning 65 today. You might remember him as a Brooklyn Brawler. I don't know. He's done some other things too. Steve Lombardi was on the show very briefly, probably about 4 or 5, 6 years ago. He didn't want to come on and do a shoot promo, but he did come on to promote an event. So we'll give him kudos to that. Steve Lombardi, longtime WWE employee. Hey, interested in roller derby, want to be a skater, officiate Rock City Roller Derby needs you. Contact recruitment at rockderbyrecruitment@gmail.com. And if you're into the men's team, it's Flower City Fear, FLOUR, flowercityfear.com. Thank you so much. Flowercityfear.com. Go check them out where the season's starting. In fact, Flower City Roller Derby is now they're in New Hampshire playing in a tournament this weekend. So kudos to them, all my friends out there. Happy Saturday, and some things we want to talk about before I introduce us. We're going to talk, obviously, WrestleMania 42 is this weekend, nights 1 and 2. What an AEW dynasty, and we're going to talk about the results as well as new champ in AEW and what you guys think about it. But first, the cast and crew of the show. I'm your humble host, the Cash Man. I'm joined by DC Daniel Cole, Dan Cole from NC DC. Congratulations on your anniversary, by the way, sir. Hello.
Thank you, sir.
And we're joined by Rob Sanderson from Parts Unknown Rochester. Sanderson, thank you so much for doing this week. It's a big week in the world of pro wrestling. The world of wrestling revolves around Vegas. How are you doing today?
I'm very sleepy. How are you?
Oh, someone must have been up for a late show last night. Good. I'm excited because I want
Yeah.
to talk about that. But I do want to send out a condol. I lost my dog this past week. And Tara, you might, if you follow the show, since we've been doing it via Zoom and Facebook, Tara kind of makes an appearance every show or was making an appearance every show one way or the other, either barking or coming in, and I had to put her down, unfortunately, this past Monday. So it was a sad day around the Jones household, but Tara's in a better place and now out of pain, which is always a big plus. And it's a circle of life. And now it's just how long before I get another animal? That's the question. So, if you start seeing cats walking around in the back of me, that's when it started. So that's one of those things I'd like to get something. So someone suggested a bearded dragon at the kids who work at the high school. Yeah, I'm not ready for that though. But welcome to the show. It's WrestleMania weekend. What an exciting week. Before we get into any of the WrestleMania talk, man, we got to talk about the weekend review. The build up as well as last weekend's AEW Dynasty. And I know there's a lot of people out there just going, why are you jumping right into AEW talk? Well, I will tell you why, because damn, some things happened, and some cool things happened. So, but it was, and not exactly. We went through and gave our predictions last week, and I don't think we were accurate, very accurate at all, because what we wanted and what happened were two different things. But which I'm cool with that, but. It was an interesting dynasty. So, DC, let me ask you, did HBO Max work for you this?
Yeah, it did this time.
There we go.
I was
Uh,
able to watch without issue.
that's awesome. So, what do you? Let's get a review from you. How'd you feel about the show? How was it? Some crazy things happened. Unfortunately, other things didn't happen. We all kind of thought that maybe that we would have the heavyweight title go to Kenny Omega. That did not happen. But how did you feel about the flow of the show, first of all?
I thought the flow of it was perfect. I thought the match order was really good. I thought they started with the right stuff. Um, in terms of overall wrestling pay-per-views, it was a great pay-per-view. For AEW, though, I'd say it was good. They've definitely had better. I don't think they've had a lot worse, but overall, looking at the week for AEW, a fantastic week.
Okay, how about you, Rob? What'd you think of Dynasty? I mean, we all y'all kind of like as soon as it was over, it was like, okay, we know what's going to happen on Wednesday. But what'd you think, Rob?
Um, well, first of all, I would say that somebody used my predictions on a betting site and only lost on one match. So it seemed actually kind of predictable based off what we went off of. But the Edge and or Christian and Cope, whatever you want to call them, that was the little bit of a swerve, and I'm happy, I guess, that they didn't do that and held it off a little bit longer. I feel the same way that Dan said. I mean, it was a show that I think it was a really good show, but it's not one that's going to stick out in my mind, like looking back on my favorite AEW pay-per-views. It didn't have anything that was like way above and beyond, but overall, I thought it was a really good show. And I will say, I feel like despite it being a long show, I remember thinking like, oh, we're already at the main event, which still had been like an insane amount of time to get to that point, but it didn't feel as long as their pay-per-views normally feel to me. And I don't know why that was. But just the flow seemed to kind of work, whatever. That show also feels like about a million wrestling watching hours ago. So it's hard to remember at this point, a lot of it, but um overall, I think it was good. I think it's the crowd was good, and I mean, I didn't like how easy it was to predict what was coming next right after that you alluded to,
Yeah.
which of course did happen on Wednesday, and um, yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that too. But the pay-per-view itself was solid. I mean, especially for a pay-per-view that kind of to me it feels a little bit more like an in your house or something, like between a couple big major pay-per-views of theirs, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, it was, not significant enough of a big enough of a pay-per-view to, have Kenny Omega uh, win the heavyweight title. I mean, it was almost a 40-minute match to end the show. And I like kind of where they went with Kenny this past week, where he's like ready to give up and everything. And then someone gave him some words of advice or wisdom. And he's like, I think that, I'm going to give it another shot. So it's a good thing, I think to, keep him involved in, uh, the main event, but, amongst
Well, and
other
for all the
things.
people that want to say that there's no like long-term storytelling or like stories in AEW or anything like that, like it's no mistake that you have Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay sitting next to each other there.
Yeah.
They are absolutely planting the seeds right there with all of that. So
Yeah, without a doubt.
I
And then
have a feeling the same night as the Owen Cup tournament finals will be the same night a certain person probably becomes champion again.
wow. Okay. Some heavy
yeah.
duty predictions. So I will say we had at least we have a new TNT champion with Kevin Knight winning the casino gauntlet match, which came down to two between Kevin Knight and Daniel Garcia. And Kevin Knight winning, I'm excited because he's definitely someone that's exciting to watch wrestle. And it's like hey, we got Demetrius in the chat room saying hi to everybody. Remember Demetrius used to call us all the time back when we were on the radio. But hey, cool, man. Nice. Thank you for checking it out. So like, yeah, but it's like, yeah, Kevin Knight now holding the AEW TNT championship. I think it's a good thing, I hate to, have to have it because of an injury, but he's an exciting wrestler. And, what do you guys think?
I was hoping for a little bit more with that match in terms of like people being in it that I didn't expect or something. Like it was a little underwhelming in terms of who all entered the match. Because that's a big opportunity to debut somebody or bring somebody back from a long injury or whatever the case is, and there just wasn't really any of that kind of stuff going on. I really like Kevin Knight a lot. I think he's fantastic, and I think he's far from his ceiling in that company. I will once again say I do not love hearing him on Wednesday or Thursday, like saying
Yeah.
that he's going for more gold. Stop. You need to stop.
Two times.
This
Yeah.
is an epidemic of champions wanting more gold with there being too much gold. Like, no, there are too many other wrestlers that if you have that many titles, at least use them to build up multiple people. I don't want to see another dual champion kind of thing.
Yeah, you can blame Becky Lynch for that, right? I mean, there's been other two-time champions, obviously, but yeah,
Shout
you're
out to the original Euro Continental champion.
there. You
That's
go.
really weird that like this is the second time in probably 6 hours that somebody has said Euro Continental champion. That's bizarre. I don't know why we were talking about that while watching the Joey Janela Spring Break 10 at 3 in the morning, but
Yeah.
we were. So wow. This is like deja vu or something right now.
Okay, I don't want to hang too much on this, but there was some, Tekla obviously getting that big raise and coming out and just being an all-star with that women's title. I love it. I think it's great. Very
She had a
attractive.
fantastic week. She had an
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic week, and her stock rises by the week.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, very, very, very attractive as well. I will say that she, I enjoy because she's a pro wrestler down and down. She knows when to stop and milk the crowd and things like that. And I love how she plots out the matches and all the crazy things that happen in them. So, big fan, especially after this past week. Wrestling on TV as well. That was awesome.
And then last night at the Stardom show in Vegas, she showed up and
I saw
surprised.
Once again.
took out the owner of the company.
Yeah.
See her do that with Tony Khan, like that would.
And it was very fitting. I don't know if anybody saw it, but in the front row, there was a sign that said Okada still fears Tekla.
Well, as Tekla is standing over Okada with cutting a promo, that was I think that was pretty. Yeah, Tekla is like the MVP of this past week. I'll say without a doubt that, or Darby Allin. Let's talk a little bit. Talk about it. Darby Allin wins an opportunity to get a title shot after beating Andrade, and then that led to this past Wednesday. If you did not set your DVR to tape long or to tape the half hour after it, you completely missed this. And I did set it because I knew it was going to happen. So Darby Allin, challenges right off the top, challenges MJF at the beginning of the show. MJF, so I'm not going to do it. MJF's forced to do it, and we get a main event of MJF versus Darby Allin. Darby Allin, you can see it happening when he does 4 coffin drops in a row that this is over. I mean, we knew it probably before the match started. Darby Allin, new champion. Bumps into Sting in the back. What that would make.
I say we called it as like a certainty on Sunday night. So
yeah.
it didn't want it to happen, but I don't know. I mean, everything you're describing, I think they if they were going to make that decision, they pulled it all off probably as best as they could.
I was just going to
On
say,
Wednesday from
even
start to
if you
finish.
didn't want that to happen, it was executed almost perfectly.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
the challenge in the beginning, the promos cut in the beginning,
I mean, if you didn't know going into it, his promo at the beginning of the show should have told you.
Yes, and then bumping
Like that was probably the best promo he's ever cut too.
Yeah, big time. And then bumping in Sting and saying, you know what? I'll be honest with you. He's not. I mean, listen, he's a champ now. A lot of people online have their opinions going either way about it. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He did not beat the biggest guy in the world. That's what it makes sense. It's not, not putting him against a 7-foot tall, 500-pound guy, putting him a guy who's much closer to his size than some of the other champs in the past. But and I don't know. I think, you know what, kudos to MJF. Maybe he'll get a little break now. I don't think, I mean, he's obviously complaining about it, calling lawyers and everyone, everyone's, it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. Everyone's, but I loved it. I loved it when Brian Danielson got up and said, this is coming from Tony Khan. This is happening. This is happening. And it did. And it was exciting. Yeah. And I love Sting coming out and celebrating as well. Sting, not worrying about having to use hair dye for men or whatever, and just came out with that big gray hair he has. And, I loved it. I don't, I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't know how long. That's the question, because, there's a path going to where, All In, and we will see how that goes. But now I'm sure you guys both have seen the naysayers online, because sometimes they, I don't know, the keyboard warriors are going. And I love how one Cody Rhodes came out and defended the win by someone not even in his company, while he was being questioned this past week, amongst other people. Rob, what do you think of Darby Allin? I mean, I know that we're not all the biggest fans of Darby Allin, but he is a pillar. What do you think?
He does not like that descriptor, by the way.
Oh, that's good. Rather have the Himalayan guy or whatever, but Rob, what do you think?
He did really well this week. It's not a title change that I wanted to see happen, but like I said, they pulled it off as well as they could. It's for somebody that's ridiculously picky about attention to detail, it was maybe a benefit of having a small guy win the title that finally commentator Brian Danielson called it the AEW World Championship, which is its actual name. It is not a heavyweight championship. Adam Copeland makes that mistake a lot too. And it's just, I don't know. There's a chance. I think it's a small chance, but there's a chance he loses the title on Wednesday in my mind, to Ciampa. I don't think it'll happen, but I'm never say never. I don't think it'll be a long title reign. I don't think it'll last any longer than Double or Nothing, if it even gets that far. And I mean, it's something that, I mean, it does establish him as a main event player, and I mean, that's something that I always kind of preach on this show too, is that like titles are used to elevate people. They don't need to go on people a third or fourth time, like John Moxley's fully established at this point. Like him having the belt doesn't really do a whole lot except for when he loses it to somebody and it helps that person. So it all came off better than I expected. I will also say that even if I don't necessarily love what happened, I do respect like the stuff he puts himself and his body through and whatever to entertain the fans is obviously a lot. And even if it's something that I mean, I didn't hate it. I wasn't yelling at my TV or something. Like it wasn't that big of a deal, but I do like those type of situations where like I let the Instagram reel loop a few times, and each time I would just watch a different section of the crowd and seeing those genuine surprised, excited, jumping up and down reactions. Like that's what wrestling's all about. So even if it's not my cup of tea, like seeing fans going bananas for that kind of stuff is cool. So I it is something that kind of shocked a lot of people. I don't know. I'm a little surprised that more people didn't think it was going to happen. I mean, the way it was all set up and where it was happening and everything. But like I said, I think they pulled it off really well, especially that opening the show, but then pushing it to later and everything. I did not expect it to be a squash, like that.
Well,
And I
after
don't know if I
yeah.
love that, but
Well, MJF tried to cheat multiple times in the match. So I mean, I don't know, I mean, he wasn't even wrestling, like the match the night before, I mean, it was like, Yeah, and it technically was a squash. It went pretty quick. I thought it was going to happen right in the beginning of the show, but it's like, it makes sense. Keep them till the end. And they pulled some great numbers. They had a good bounce back week for viewership. So I think that, now we'll see, what does Darby Allin draw as champ? Because that's what we get on Wednesday this week. I mean, Darby's going to talk, the old I'm going to
The
talk.
ratings were great for his coronation.
That's for sure. And I mean, I think a lot of people,
Mhm.
I don't know if they expected it. Did they? I don't know. I mean, this is coming off the pay-per-view, I mean, I've read a lot of reviews of the pay-per-view. A lot of people loved it. They said it was one of the best ones in a long time. So, yeah, I know
It wasn't better than the previous pay-per-view.
no, that's for sure. That was the best one they've done in a long time. So this year, I would say. So that, but yeah,
And as much as people have complained about like, oh, they buried MJF and stuff, they didn't bury him. And like the same thing is like Cody Rhodes took 3 Crossroads to beat Roman Reigns. Like Darby Allin hit his finish 4 times before the headlock takeover.
yeah.
Like that's not burying somebody. It made him look pretty strong, in my mind. It's like as strong as you can in a match that was probably not even like 3 minutes long.
Yeah, it was pretty
So
quick. It was,
I'm fine with that.
it was the debut of that new show that was happening right after it too, the prank show or whatever, and it's like,
Oh yeah, I didn't watch that.
no,
And
me neither.
the criticisms too, for the people that, are a bit tribalistic. Um, I totally just lost my train of thought
Oh,
because
no,
now I was thinking about the prank show.
yeah, I'm
But
sorry.
no, it's quite all right. But the people that complain that, oh, there's no storytelling in AEW, there's no long-term storytelling in AEW. The side headlock thing goes back to 2021.
Mhm.
MJF
Yeah.
used that to beat Darby twice.
Yeah,
Like,
with the ring in his hand, the ring.
yeah,
Yeah, I
or
mean,
using the title once to, take advantage of him doing a coffin drop.
yeah,
But I did see some great parallels this week of someone saying, look back to the Monday Night Wars when they had Mick Foley, of all people, win the title on TV. And I couldn't help but draw the parallel to, thinking of Tony Schiavone calling this match as opposed to Tony Schiavone back then saying, oh, that'll
yeah,
put butts in the seats. Well, they had great ratings this week.
yeah.
And guess who wasn't talking a lot about WWE, despite them shoehorning themselves in everywhere possible and essentially taking over ESPN this week.
Yeah. It was, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. I think they had a great week, and it's like, I think WWE is like realizing that they always say nobody's our competition. Dancing with the Stars is our competition. You know what? I think they got a little bit of an eye opener there when, that and McAfee, talking about AEW apparently yesterday on his show. So it's like,
They can
It
talk
was
all
like
they
the
want, how they don't
second
consider
sentence
them
out of his mouth.
competition, but they sounded incredibly desperate this week. And what the hell was that finishing promo of the go home show last night?
it was just let's pat ourselves on the back. This is what you're getting, Punk and freaking Cody Rhodes. Yeah, Punk. Look, and now we'll get to it in a minute. I don't want to go to them yet, but there's something he did on Monday that's like, wow, this is like an apology or something. But so Darby is it, and you'll see some naysayers, you'll see some not. I mean, maybe and if Rob, what DC, you think another short run for Darby here before we start to build up to All In.
I don't think it'll be too incredibly short, but let's be honest, I think he's a transitional champion that's going to lead to another transitional champion that's going to lead to a much longer title run.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's a good thing for this company because everyone's in love with that last guy in the line, and I, as well as I am, it's
And
like,
think about it too. Title reigns in AEW tend to be long, at least the world title reigns.
yeah,
So, having a couple short ones, MJF having it for what, 4 months?
yeah.
And
Well,
now Darby, he'll probably have it for maybe a month or two.
MJF had it for a year before, the last
Right.
time. So, it's like he definitely had his time
And
with
this
it.
doesn't hurt MJF at all.
No.
It doesn't dim his star. It doesn't diminish his work. It's for the naysayers, it was the payoff to some long-term storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So before we talk about the 100-pound, a million-pound elephant in a corner, Rob, this week in Vegas, some stuff has been going on. You were up last night, you said, watching the GCW spring, was it spring break you said it was called? I can't remember.
Yes, GCW presents Joey Janela's Spring Break 10
So
was on till it was on till like 3-ish Eastern, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sleepy.
it ran the same time as probably the Hall of Fame inductions, which I do not care to see. I've seen something already that just I know it was done in jest, but it makes me sick. So, but
Oh, the only thing I saw from it too, yeah.
the Stephanie McMahon promo,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
that
Where
was like,
she's just saying the truth, how she really feels. Yeah.
yeah. If you guys get a chance to see that, I almost envision her channeling Vince McMahon doing that because that's all I could hear was his voice coming out of her mouth. So, but not that. But so we had the WrestleCon, huge bunch of WrestleCons going on in Vegas. Every wrestler in the world is in Vegas. Every fan who can afford it is in Vegas. We had the WrestleCon. There was a match. Was it Thursday night where they were booing TNA? You know, or they were chanting FTNA. You know what I'm talking about?
Right at the start of Jet Speed and Michael Oku against was it the Rascals? Yeah, it was very blatant. And Speedball's just in the corner with his head down, like I'm not trying to get in trouble here. um,
Yeah.
it was well deserved.
Yeah, there's a lot of hate for TNA going on right now because of the cancellations of the inner
Oh, that
promotion.
was that was the match against the Demand
The
because
demand.
Ricochet was in there and he was part of his match was one of the ones that got it was supposed to be him and Leon Slater, which was crazy because the owner of High Spots, Michael, who also uh therefore is like the guy who runs WrestleCon
Yeah.
and books that one specific show, blatantly came out this week and like told everybody like Leon Slater wasn't losing. I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So TNA pulled Leon Slater from that match, and he was actually going to beat Ricochet. And I was kind of surprised to see the booker of that show just come out and tell everybody, just to kind of shut that down and make it be like, no, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't even losing. So why was TNA upset, or why did TNA pull him? But
Yeah. There's a lot of heat going back and forth. I'm sure this is not the end of it either after this weekend. So okay, talk a little bit about Brody Lee Jr.'s match, maybe, or talk about the show last night, GCW. Was that Steve Austin in the picture you sent that was in the crowd?
sure was, sure
Holy
was.
cow, that was Steve
It's really
Austin.
funny. I got that picture from you and I looked at it and my wife was over my shoulder. I said, I'm pretty sure that's Steve Austin. She goes, or it's Weird Al.
Okay.
Because the guy right next to him had lovely curly hair.
Yeah. So
Right,
Steve Austin was there last night, you know, and obviously he's going to have something to do with WrestleMania this weekend if he's in Vegas, but very cool. That's awesome. So like, how did it go, man? How was that show? How was Joey Janela's spring break?
Yeah, I mean it's like obviously Austin was there, Natty was there, Royce Keys, Ricky Starks, all sorts of people showed up to uh to watch shows yesterday. Everything kind of blends together a little bit at this point because again it's been like just the collective alone is 13 shows this
Wow.
week, which doesn't count watching an AEW pay-per-view, 2 AEW TV shows, and the shows over at a different casino where there's a bunch of other stuff running, like the Stardom show and everything else. But I think last night was spring break, which started closer to about 10:30 Eastern. Was actually, I hate using the word only, but only 8 matches, but there was a lot that went on. I think it was easily one of the best independent wrestling shows of all time. I mean, I loved the card going into it, but um, it everything delivered, and it might be my favorite indie show now, to be honest. And they had over 2,000 fans, absolutely jam packing that place. The crowd was awesome. And yeah, I mean, little Brody main evented. And I mean, we'll get to that in a second. There was a lot throughout the show. Sandman had his final match, which was against the Invisible Man. The Invisible Man ended up being managed by Bill Alfonso, um, as a heel. For those who don't know, Invisible Man is literally nobody. You're pretending you're wrestling an invisible person. And Sandman was amazing. It was so entertaining, and it felt like that one Mania match with Cody and Roman where it was just like non-stop run-ins and surprises. Um, I mean, I don't want to, I won't mention all of them, but some of the people, like the first surprise was Sandman being basically haunted by the return of the WWECW on Sci-Fi Zombies, which was so unexpected and hilarious. Um,
Wow.
and then a bunch of others from Missy Hyatt to Mick Foley and others. It was so good. A lot of really good matches on the show. Alec Price, Jordan Oliver, and Marcus Mathers against the Rascals was incredible as expected. Um, and Nick Gage returned as Megan Bain's mystery partner against Mance Warner and Steph DeLander. Um, it's a show. It's archived on Triller TV, which I really would recommend anybody looking for a good show to watch. I mean, to me, this by far the best show of the week. And that's saying something because there's 14 million shows this week. But
Yeah.
yeah, main event: Joey Janela against Brody Lee Jr., 14-year-old Brody Lee Jr., and it was incredible. Um, I it's obviously something that's been in the works for a while. They built it up well. Brody's been training a lot for it, and it, both of them deserve so much credit. I mean, Brody as a 14-year-old went out there, and this was not a gimmick. Like this was an actual legitimate wrestling match that was really good, and they pulled off a lot. And I mean, it's crazy that he's really not that much shorter than Joey Janela
I
at
was
this
gonna say,
point.
they had a face to face where it looked like he was pretty close to the same height. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but he also has a 14-year-old body. So it's like, just, he's thinner, obviously. And he's got a bit to grow into it. But man, he can, working with Natty as long as he has, and they're training, him. I think that he definitely, I'm sure, was ready. I've been following him online because, or Amanda, because he was getting people asking for, he did a signing, I guess, and people were catching him in the crowd and or when he was walking around, and he was signing things for people and stuff, which I think is awesome. It's got to be like a real, reality check, but so the match, how long did the match go? And did Brody Lee Jr. get his first win?
Uh, I don't know how long it went. I am interested in finding that out. I mean, um, some of us joke a little bit. I mean, a Joey Janela match is never under like 20 minutes, but it was probably 20 something. I mean, it wasn't like some little 5-minute match, like with just like a couple of moves or whatever. Like I said, I mean, they were putting in work. They were telling a story. Hitting all sorts of crazy moves and stuff on the outside of the ring. And Brody did a bunch of tribute spots. He hit an awesome crossroads. He hit, I can't think of them all right now. There was a lot like through the match, and then the finish ended up being a pair of his dad's discus lariats,
Oh,
and
nice.
then Joey tapped out to the sharpshooter.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. I was gonna say, did you get any big boots in there too?
No, but he did hit a jumping kick that looked really good. But yeah, no, once he gets a little taller, maybe the
Yeah.
big boot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was, and I didn't know going into it if they were going to do like interference and stuff or what was going to happen, but, um, it was a straight up match. And like it so ridiculously impressive for a kid that's 14 and a couple of months, to pull that off. The crowd was so into it. Great reaction when Joey tapped out. And, um, I also like that people, including Amanda on Twitter in the last few hours at some point, like people are giving Joey his flowers because Joey deserves so much credit for that match. And for somebody who gets so much hate for no reason. I mean, he's one of my favorite people to work with on the indies, and I think he is the MVP of indie wrestling and has made a huge difference in a lot of careers of people who were on the indies and then have made their way to big contracts and stuff. And I saw some people saying, it's about time for Joey to be under a contract himself again. And
Yeah.
I could not agree more with that. It would be a big loss for the indies. But I mean, he deserves it. And uh, what they put together, um, I think it's one of those things where now it's, the match is over with and now we can talk about all of it. I mean, even like I said, like Amanda a couple weeks ago, they did a contract signing in LA and Amanda got in the ring and got very heated with Joey and stuff, and now the match is over and she's talking about how much Joey did for that. And I mean, Janela, he flew down to Florida for a week and they trained together and stuff and put this together, and it was just it was perfect. Honestly, I like, it's one of those things where I'm thinking like, all right, well, this is a match that like in a very, very, very biased way I'm gonna like. But legitimately, if I didn't know either of those two, if I wasn't like emotionally invested, if it was just a match, like it still would be like easily one of the best matches of the week. I think it was the best. So yeah, I mean, it's just more proof that the future, the limit for that kid, who knows? I
Yeah.
mean, he did so well. And then cool at the end, like people came out and celebrated with him and Nolan got in the ring and, I don't know. It was very well done. And uh, there was just, it was a very feel good show between the Brody stuff, between, like I said, the Sandman's final match and the surprise appearances on all of that. That they pulled off with Nick Gage making a long-awaited surprise return. Like a lot of credit has to go to Brett Lauderdale too, the Rochester native Brett Lauderdale who owns GCW and puts all this together. I, he put together an extra special collective this year, and there's still a couple more shows to go. The Effie's Big Game. Oh yeah, the Effie and Alley Catch had a loser leaves GCW match that was incredible. That's Effie won. And shout out to Alley Catch because sucks that she's gone from GCW now, but she did incredible work in that match. But yeah, Effie's Big Game brunch is at 2 o'clock Eastern, and then the annual final show of the collective, the Cluster F, takes
Yeah.
place at I think like 1 a.m. Eastern tonight.
Oh,
It's a post WrestleMania show, and that's the like never ending battle royal where there's no set amount of entrance or specific like time intervals that are actually kept to or anything. It's just always ridiculous with so many surprise appearances and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So
no, yeah.
today would probably be a good day for me to find a nap because I'll
Yeah.
definitely stay up and watch that.
I would
But
guess I would say too. I want to mention one thing. You mentioned Brett Lauderdale and Josh Barnett gave him a big kudos because Josh Barnett ended up having his Bloodsport 15 which is going to be his last show for a while. He announced that he's going to go into hiatus for a bit, but he wanted to thank Brett Lauderdale for all the help in doing that. So, but I saw that
Yeah,
that was this week as well, and he ended up taking on Yuji Nagata. So it was like that.
which was awesome. That was a lot of fun.
It's not
Um,
weird seeing matches without with ropes or poles or but yeah,
well,
that
that was what kind of made me nervous because, like, so that was the show, that was the main event of Bloodsport, and Bloodsport ends, and then like an hour later is spring break, and match number one goes out there, which was a ladder and doors and everything match with 6 or 8 people in it. And not too long into match number one, the top rope snaps. And it's
oh,
just like, oh no. Like, and immediately we're just like, I hope they've got another turnbuckle under that ring and this and that. Like, this is a disaster for it to be happening match one of their biggest show of all time and stuff. But luckily, after that first match, but shout out to all the wrestlers that were in that match, Shotzi and Vipress and many others. But they improvised quite a bit, got through the match, and then they did fix the rope before match two. But um, I don't know if any of that had to do with them speeding to put the ropes on after Bloodsport, because of course they're down for that. But um, yeah, Bloodsport's been super popular, so that's kind of a bummer that Barnett said that it's gone for at least now. But that was an entertaining show, and I that the one big benefit to those shows is how Barnett is so closely associated with so many people in wrestling, that the people that have come to him that want to work those shows, and how that's really bridged a lot with being able to get like active WWE talent on an independent show at the Collective and stuff like that. I mean, that's been a big deal. So sucks to see that come to a close, but like he was alluding to, I mean, never say never. It could be back.
yeah, I was gonna say Josh Barnett being a former UFC fighter as well as Pride, and he was, he did start off in the mixed martial arts, but he kind of like kind of blended them for this product. So kudos to him, and and plus he's an announcer. I think he's a New Japan announcer. I'm trying to remember. I know he was doing New Japan announcing. So, but yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah, I
mention.
remember he hasn't done that in a while. He used to do that with JR for a bit. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely. I didn't realize till the last few years like how many people that are big stars in wrestling have trained with him and know him and stuff, and so he's very very well respected around all circles of wrestling, even though he's like you said, like more thought of as an MMA guy than anything. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just going to get to it now before we get out of the hour because we're almost getting up there. But okay, so WrestleMania starts tonight. We're going to go.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, we've had a build up this week. A lot of people. It's interesting is a lot of the interviews this week. People addressing criticisms of the card, including Triple A or Paul Levesque, pardon me, and the other con guy, both talking about how this is not what they originally had planned for WrestleMania, what they're doing, and there's getting a lot of criticism about it. But tonight it's only 7 matches. I'm going to tell you that. The first 2 are going to be on ESPN2 as well as ESPN app or whatever that is. And I'm going to go through the cards real quick, get them out of the way, and then because there's so much news still. So tonight, the main event tonight will be Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Pat McAfee's involved somehow. I don't know. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna do predictions. I'm just gonna whip through the who's wrestling, because we also. I think this is. I'm looking forward to this. Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. Got AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental title. Gunther versus Seth Rollins. Very kind of like a late addition. I guess they probably held off Gunther until they knew Seth Rollins was going to be coming back, because it's only been within the last 2 weeks this has been built up. Nia Jax / Legend versus Charlotte Flair, and Alexa Bliss versus Lyra Valkyria, and Bayley versus Bria Bella, Nikki Bella in a 4-way for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships.
I believe I've seen rumors that Nikki has not been cleared.
Yeah, Nikki's still hurt.
Yeah.
And they were still talking about it yesterday. So I don't know if that's going to happen for them, but You know,
There's a very strong rumor as to a surprise replacement. So I
interesting.
don't know. I don't think I see that on one of your pages of news here.
No,
But
no. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that. Well, I wonder what who is going to be. I mean, there's Trish Stratus is in town. I know that. I don't know who. Who knows? Maybe there's always surprises. Steve Austin is not mentioned anywhere in any of this stuff, and he's in town. So
I don't think Steve Austin is in that match. No,
no,
but
how about Santina Morella? Maybe no.
Maybe Santina.
Yeah, yeah. But that will.
that will if you say Santina, but then you replace that with a name that's like SA and ends in an A also. Soraya,
I
tomato,
know I
tomato.
know she's in
Um,
town. I definitely know I follow her on Instagram. She's been all over the place. That would be, we'll see, folks. It's a teaser there. Got Drew McIntyre. This is on ESPN too. This will be the simulcast matches. Drew McIntyre, Jacob Fatu, unsanctioned match, the second only one ever in WWE. And they
Poor
will,
Drew McIntyre. Poor Jacob Fatu.
yeah, I know. And Jacob Fatu came out in a police car to cut a promo last night, to the go home promo. So he did a good job. I give him a lot of credit. It was good. It was a good promo. LA Knight, Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso versus Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and I Show Speed in a 6-man tag title. And I Show Speed, is he the guy that got killed by Braun Breaker in the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago? I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was him.
that's the guy got cut in half. Okay, so
and that's literally the extent that I know of him. I mean, I'm not somebody that closely follows all these influencers and stuff, but I literally have no idea who he is or what he does on social media. But yeah, he just got rocked by a Braun Breaker.
Yeah, he got like broken in half. So that's 7 matches. I'm not absolutely saying it's only going to be 7 because I think it may be more. Night 2, Sunday night. There's only 6 matches announced. And was that 1, 2, 3? Yeah. So John Cena, by the way, is going to host both. He'll come out in the beginning, and that maybe it will be it. Who knows? But they will be simulcasting Sunday nights on ESPN, so you don't even have to pay for an app or anything for at least the first 2 matches. And you're going to get the first match: Penta, Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, Rusev, JD McDonough in a 6-way ladder match for the IC title. That's a freebie. And then you're going to get Brock Lesnar and Obafemi on the ESPN as well. So those 2 matches will be simulcasted between the two. Kudos to Brock Lesnar if he's going to keep laying down for Obafemi every time they go out and do something. Dominic Mysterio versus the Demon, Finn Balor. First time the Demon's been back. I think you ruin it when you say that. I like it when it's a surprise. I don't like it when you're telling me it's coming. So
I did have fun with the internet this week, taking advantage of the fact that the Demon was coming back, and also WWE TKO's obsession with getting advertising everywhere. So there was plenty of photoshopped images of Demon Balor with like Slim Jim or Riyadh Season or all this other stuff painted on himself.
I was waiting for the dome or for the sphere stuff. It's like none of that happened this week. I thought they were going to, maybe it'll be tonight and we'll get a far shot from it. I know that Danhausen, they were talking about Danhausen involved in a giant image on the sphere. So that's scary.
Well, okay. So that was the one thing that I did watch at 4 a.m. They did the Danhausen blimp thing already. Like, why wouldn't you save that for like in between matches on Mania or something? But good for him finally getting his blimp right. Well, he thinks he got his own blimp, but they just misspelled Danhausen when they wrote Goodyear on it. So
I love Danhausen. This guy's had the week too, of anybody, and it's not even wrestling. He's just had a week, interrupting.
Him cursing Stephen A. Smith, like what is happening?
Did you see when he interrupted the mass marriage thing that was going on that they were doing with, I guess, the Miz and Maurice were renewing their vows in the little chapel that they have there in Vegas, and Danhausen appeared and just caused it chaos, which of course is great for Danhausen. I believe he also cursed Stephen. You said he cursed Stephen A. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So crazy.
And then disappeared from the set. All the hosts sold it. I mean, that's awesome to see him getting to do these huge crossovers like that. So
and he's got a
I would
very
love to have been in a room with like just a pure professional sports minded person just to have them watch that segment and wonder what the hell was going on.
I gotta say one thing.
Yeah.
He went to the Hall of Fame last night, and his wife is gorgeous. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
yeah,
She's a burlesque model.
yeah, that's what I was saying. I heard she
Yeah.
was burlesque too, so that's yeah. In fact, she kept tugging him to go because he kept stopping, and it was in thrill. And walking a red carpet, it just seemed like it's such a foreign thing for him. So it was that was definitely interesting thing. So
Well, and actually, yeah, she was part of, she was one of
the dancers at his
the
debut.
regional Danhausens at his debut. Yeah.
Yeah, she was the one that was next to him, closest, I guess. Yeah, I remember because she definitely yeah, he's a lucky man, and he's got a real life besides what he does. So and kudos to him. So Donald Casterio and the Demon will be I'm figuring that's going to be the first one on the ESPN platform that you have to pay for. Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams for the U.S. Championship with the Yahtzee there, or whatever his name is, with Trick Williams. They had last night had a little promo thing going on with where Sami Zayn was getting booed again, and nobody understands why. But I think that they just said they're sick of him. But and maybe Trick Williams is truly the next biggest thing. I don't know, but I think that he was, he not that he was getting cheered. Both of them were getting booed, but Trick Williams came out with a giant gingerbread man, and he ended up getting haluva
What?
kicked in the corner, yeah, by Sami Zayn. It was a guy dressed up as a gingerbread man. I thought it was going to be whatever that guy's
Is
name.
there a significance to this in
Well,
April with a gingerbread? What?
yeah, because what's his name again? The rapper. It's not Yahtzee. It's a
Lil
Lil
Yachty.
Yachty.
Lil Yachty came
Of
out with
course.
a gingerbread man on his shirt a couple weeks ago, and then
Okay.
like last night, Trick Williams goes, the only thing I know is I'm in the ring with two gingerbreads or two gingers, and then that's when Sami Zayn lost his mind and started beating everybody up. So, I mean, names don't hurt me. Nah, nah, nah. So, but that's good. That's everything's for a championship, just about, except for some of the like on this night, the net like the last three matches are all championship. Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's Championship. And then in the main event, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. And like I said, I wanted to mention earlier that the build-up this past week on Monday, Punk kind of came out and apologized for bringing up Roman Reigns' dad's name, which I wonder, because I heard that was improv. So it was like that maybe that was something he had to do. It was
For the last 8 weeks, it's been I hate you, and then this week it's I respect you and love you.
I love you and respect you. And that's what happened last night was he had the dual promo with Cody Rhodes and Punk coming out. And it was all a lot of they talked about some stuff that was kind of inside, unless you like been watching WWE for 20 years. Just briefly, they talked about an event, and then then they just pretty much wrote each other's resumes, and it's like this guy did this and this, and I love him, and blah blah blah, I love him, and blah 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 blah, all love, and then it ended. So yeah, it was.
That's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting. So, but that's this weekend. I think.
Oh darn! I'm gonna miss that because of the Sabres playoff
Yeah,
game.
Sabres.
I'm
Yeah, I was
so
going to mention
disappointed.
Sabres. Playoff starts Sunday, so you can definitely know what I meant. I feel like basketball. I think that starts tonight. So it's
Not to
like,
go off on a tangent, but I have to hear RT's thoughts on the updated Better Days video.
They're just incredible. It's interesting to see some people hating on it. Which I mean,
How
yeah,
could you
like
hate on it?
I think I don't know, they want this team to have its own identity, and you're throwing it back to a team that did not end up getting the job done, but I think it's just been awesome. I don't think it needs to
It's not
be
about
like
the team, it's about the city.
it
It's about the
doesn't need to be
fans.
like an every game thing either. I mean, like play it in the building like before game one. Like it doesn't have to be like an every game staple at this point, but I thought it was really really well done and a lot of fun. And it just, I don't know. I mean, watching that to me, like that throws it back to my favorite time as a hockey fan. I mean, obviously I've loved the sport and been around it my entire life, but like that was like the peak years of me being a fan before like actually getting into working in the sport. And like, so seeing that stuff is very, very fun nostalgia. And, yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see what that atmosphere is like tomorrow and stuff.
yeah,
It's a
Yeah.
shame that tickets are going for TKO prices.
Uh,
But it is what it is. And that's why I put out a tweet yesterday, or whatever. Like, I just really hope that the people that are shelling out thousands of dollars for these Sabres playoff tickets are ready to make some noise and make sure that it's not like a Toronto Maple Leafs lower bowl, everybody in suits not making noise atmosphere, with the people that can afford to pay thousands and
yeah.
thousands for one ticket. So
Well, just
I
it
think
shows
it'll be okay.
it shows you the advantage of being a season ticket holder because you get the first chance at the face value tickets. So, and they went crazy, and not to say that you can go to 41 games or whatever it is a year in Buffalo, but season tickets they're a pretty good deal actually. I think so. Yeah, that I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah, I know they showed a lot of stuff from teams that really didn't do anything, but yeah, DC, I get the Buffalo, a lot of I love what's one I was something came to mind. One thing I like that WWE Raw does now that they haven't always done is they have like these drone shots coming over cities that are just so detailed and they're really beautiful. And there's some shots of Buffalo like that really I get excited about, because Buffalo to me is just like Rochester. When the weekend happens, if there's nothing going on, everything is dead, but this is kind of like reinvigorating, there's things happening and this is
Oh, there's that. I mean, Rochester too, but like Buffalo, like, sorry, WWE, it's not your fault, but like Buffalo tomorrow night, like I challenge somebody to go around to houses and bars and stuff and find one TV that's not tuned in to the Sabres game.
that's
I
great.
mean, it's literally everybody in that city will be watching that game.
I'm super excited for that. So, I will be watching both picture in picture because I don't know, I feel obliged. I actually
I
won't.
think, I mean, so this is obviously like, I've had a week where it's just like thinking like, man, like this is the first time in my life where I'm just like, there's not a single thing on WrestleMania that's like drawing me in. And I like, it's not just me being a hater or anything like that. Like, I want to have something to make me want to watch it. Like, I wanted to see like the Cody and Roman matches, for example, and stuff, but like Cody versus Orton with McAfee, like, I have no interest in that. But it's almost ironic that like that's kind of how I feel about Mania. And then I don't feel like it's normally the case that a WrestleMania weekend goes head to head with the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs, which happen to be more interesting than they have been in 15, 20 years to me. Like that's really bad news for me caring about WrestleMania this weekend. But I don't feel like they normally match up like that in terms of like the playoffs starting right up against WrestleMania. It's a tough break for like CM Punk fans in Buffalo. So,
I'm back. Sorry, I was gone there for a second. Yeah, that's coll. So, I kind of agree, and it's like, but it
also interesting to see how many people I went through like they did a NHL.com writers like predictions brackets, and all 10 people had the Sabres. I think 9 of the 10 had the Sabres not even making it out of the division. Um, and a lot of people have the Bruins beating the Sabres in round one. So kind of like that they can maybe be considered an underdog to some people. That's a more fun way to go.
I'm sure Sweet Lou would agree with that, right? So, but me, not so much. I'm going to get to some news and then get out of here because I got my washing machine is on its way. It'll be there in 15 minutes. So I hate to, cut it short because we could go forever, but I'm going to get some news and then we'll get out of here. We went through the whole WrestleMania card and we gave our thoughts on it. So AW Darby Allin is going to speak this Wednesday. If you're going to watch AW Dynamite, Will Ospreay versus Mark Davis on the show, Mina Shirakawa versus Shida. And Dynamite will be live from Portland, Oregon at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. So you're going to check that out. They're also taping Collision right after that. So definitely want to catch that out. A new AEW pay-per-view is probably going to be starting this year. It's going to be called Redemption. They've already put in the trademark for that. an official date for the location or official date or location has not been confirmed, but a lot of people are looking in July because it's like the month without a pay-per-view. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer for the Street Fighter movie this past week, but the film features WWE stars Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and the role as well as New Japan Pro Wrestling's Hiroki Goto playing E Honda. So I don't know if you said I don't dig the hair and it's very cartoony, but did you guys get a chance to see that preview?
I did not, but I also feel like the only person in my demographic that has never been into or doesn't know anything about Street Fighter. It's always been very popular with all of my friends my entire life, but I know nothing about it. So
It's a side-scrolling game. I don't care, too much for side-scrolling games, but I mean, it's had a movie. It had the one movie before. I know that. So I don't know. Everyone seems
The late
excited.
great Raul Julia.
That's right, Raul
Jean-Claude Van
Julia.
Damme.
Yeah. Oh my good, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Eek. So let me keep going. Joe Jonas is going to be singing night 2. They announced he'll perform the national anthem night 2 of WrestleMania 42 on Sunday night. If you saw this week's Wednesday Pat McAfee show, that he had video of Cody Rhodes smashing up his set. I don't know. I can't watch it. I'm at work, but it's helped to build more heat. A lot of
I
things.
can't watch it either, but I mean,
Yeah.
I could. I just don't want to.
There you go. Gable Stevenson signed with the UFC. He's been popping around. He was a Bill for a short time, and then he went to he did WWE, mixed martial arts, and he will make his debut at UFC 329 Saturday, July 11th. He signed with them. I saw
So
John.
where does he then go from there?
That's it. If he doesn't
Dancing with the stars, dancing with the non-stars.
remember he was a collegiate amateur wrestler. So yeah, he could go Dancing with the Stars next, I guess, but I think that hopefully he made enough money in that short contract, a $2 million contract where he never did anything with WWE. I could live on that probably the rest of my life, $2 million.
He got 2 million out of them.
Yeah, that's what I saw. I said there was an article this past week that talked about.
So he's the one responsible for all these high ticket prices because he got all that money, didn't do a single thing there.
It's interesting is that there was this article this past week where it talked about TKO pays like of the money they make, 15% goes to contracts, and they had to go through because it was a lawsuit about something or another, and they're not really paying a lot of people very much. It's much like with the UFC, they weren't paying, and a lot of people, cried about it, and so same with WWE. They said like the highest paid, obviously, wrestlers are the ones that are in the main events. So that's and it's not even as much as you would think. I always assumed Hogan was making 10 million a year 20 years ago. I don't think he's anywhere close to those numbers, the main events now. So, but I still could live on 4 million a year. Okay. I'm just saying, but I don't know if you guys saw this, the Top Rope AEW Origins. It's on Adult Swim. They have a new show, and the very first one's about the new champ, Darby Allin. I think it's a 15-minute video. I've not seen it yet, but if you are an adult, I'm Adult Swim fan. I usually go to sleep to it every night. So I'm going to have to check that out. WWE, they keep striking deals with companies and personalities, and it looks like Hootie and the Blowfish now are going to go to them for all their merchandising. I don't even know they were a band anymore. Yeah. Darius Rucker came out and was posting about it on social media. He's the lead singer of Hootie and the Blowfish. Some people call him Hootie. I don't think that's his name, though.
In 2026, Hootie and the Blowfish is going to WWE to get their merchandise stuff. Well,
Yeah.
that's a real story.
That's a real story.
Why?
The deal is in conjunction with Fanatics. So I guess that's a sports marketing, but I mean, Hootie and the Blowfish are a sports kind of rock and roll band, because they remember their
So
first.
they mentioned the Dolphins in a song 32 years ago.
Yeah, that, and their videos all were, revolving around sports like football and stuff.
Right.
So, kudos to Lillian Garcia. She got married this week to a former partner of Xavier Woods named Patrick Elrich. He used to tag with Xavier Woods before coming to WWE. So kudos to her. I already mentioned the TNA stuff. Royce Keys did win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale last night.
He did?
He did. You weren't lying when you sent me that message. He did. I
didn't even know if he was in it when I sent that message. I was like, this is good. That's obvious. I'm like, okay, good. Good for him.
No, it definitely
They
was.
finally did something with him.
Yeah.
Yay.
So that's the last piece of news I got. So beyond that, is there anything else going on coming up soon that I need to hit before we get out of here? I don't mean to hurry, but I know these guys
No,
are.
there's nothing else going on this weekend other than the Sabres playing Sunday night.
There we go. Sabres Sunday night. There we go. All right, WrestleMania. You know, I hope you guys. We're gonna. You know, I next week I'm going to be on the road at this time, so we might be taping, and you'll have to follow us on the socials to figure out when it's going to be. But I want to thank you guys for coming on, and I appreciate you here for WrestleMania weekend, wrestling weekend, WrestleCon weekend, all that stuff going on. And I want to let you know that you should, you know, check out all our shows on the socials, iTunes, and all that other stuff, and body slam someone you love.